This is Pokemon Blaze Black 2 Redux, a ROM hack made by Apex Cube and Driano that takes Pokemon Blaze Black 2, the original game, to a new level of difficulty. This is not going to be done in challenge mode because I will rip my hair out if I do it in challenge mode, but this still is a hardcore Nuzlocke even if it's just in normal mode. I'm not going to stall much in this intro, but I will put the rules on screen for a few seconds, and we're just going to get into it as soon as possible. Also, I'm sick for most of these recordings, don't make fun of me. We start by picking our starter. I picked Tepig. Tepig loses the fighting type in this game and gets the ground type when it evolves, so it's debatably better than it was originally. Well, I got a shiny. I immediately lose my starter, and to cope, I use the excuse that the Nuzlocke doesn't start till I get Pokeballs, just to save it. We get our first set of Pokemon, making our Pokemon count 5, and we move on to fight our rival. This battle was really easy. Say it with me, not even close. Oh yeah, this egg also gives us a Cubchoo. Anyway, I go save a dog, and then I beat up 2 children that are being trained by Alder, showing why he's not the champion anymore. After beating up Alder's 2 students, I watch him jump off a cliff, and then I loot his body for Oran Berries before going to take on the first gym. We beat up Roxanne, and then we move into the actual gym fights. And this happened. Now, you need a plan for every gym battle in this game, and you might want to get a pen and paper for this one. I'm gonna use Flame Charge. Did you get all that? Should I repeat it? Instead, this had to happen. Even though I couldn't spam Flame Charge, we still beat the gym, and then we moved east on Route 20. And yes, this game throws God at you in the first 20 minutes. After Sharon gives us our rod, we evolve our starter, and I think this is the ugliest shiny I've ever seen. We move down to Verbank Complex and we grab 2 different encounters because the developers split it into 2 different parts to add an extra encounter. We also use that fishing rod for I think the only time, and we grab Quillfish under Verbank City. We go to battle Brawly in Verbank City because he hands us a Meditite egg, and a psychic type for free given right before the poison gym is super helpful. Yeah, too bad Pansage dies in return. Yeah, I know, 2 deaths before the second gym is not good, but those 2 Pokemon were amazing, and it doesn't really matter because we bullied the poison gym anyway. Now, after the plan of the first gym failing, you would think I'd become better at planning. You'd think I'd make a better plan for this gym. No, I didn't. It worked this time though, so that's good. Now, a theme you'll notice is that I am not very good at double battles. And we have a double battle right now. So, here's what happened. I mean, that one was kind of my fault. And now we get to fight Bryson, the 7th gym leader from Black and White 1. And I over-prepared, maybe a little bit. Yeah, I seem to be really good at beating up washed Gen 5 trainers. And with that done, we move into Castelia City, we get a bunch of new encounters, we evolve our Swaddle twice, and we have no trouble with the gym battle. With that easy gym badge down, we get put on the Joker's radar, and then we do another boss trainer. This one was a little more difficult than the last. Well, rip Dwebble, I guess. Either way, we have another boss trainer, another Gen 5 trainer that's washed. And you can imagine how that one went. Before taking on the 4th gym though, we go to kill an endangered species, and only then do we find out that the gym leader has quit her job to do modeling. Then, as one of these guys gets sent to impending doom in Hisui, they decide to take something to the grave with them. I mean, could have been a worse death. We did get a Mudkip after this though, so I mean, whatever. And then, after getting our Mudkip, we go to fight a different 4th gym leader that Mudkip's line also destroys. Now that we have the Choice Band, we can take on the actual 4th gym leader in this game.
Last thing before the gym battle though, we evolve some starters, and then we actually go into it. And I'm not really going to show much of this one either, it wasn't really that interesting, but you know, GG I guess. And now we have to fight Team Plasma, and I know I'm skipping over a lot of these fights, but none of them are really interesting. When we get to more interesting fights though, I'll go into them more. Hey look, an interesting fight. This is Biker Charles, a trainer who battles in triple battle format, who has very strong Pokemon, who has very good run killing potential. We start off by getting intimidated, which is already a very bad start. And then we take heavy damage from Sigilith, but then we do one-shot Krokorok and a Selgor and do big damage to Sigilith. And after that, we switch out to Swampert to tank hits while we kill Drudigan, but he almost dies, so we then have to switch out to Lopunny, and then this happened. Okay, did that hurt? Yes. Was that completely avoidable? Yes. Are we about to get a better fighting type that will outspeed and one-shot everything? Also yes. Before getting this new fighting type though, we find the Elite Four member Chantal, who gives me fossils, and I'm gonna discuss the fossils later because I don't care, I'm just gonna do it later. And I grab an Emolga by accident because I went to some shaken grass. I also get a Golett here, which is cool, I guess. Now, onto our fighting type that is going to replace Lopunny. Meet Chimchar. Chimchar evolves into Infernape, and Infernape is monstrously strong, insanely fast, and has a very wide move pool. Infernape immediately shows useful by one-shotting everything Norman has, and then continuing to help a lot with Rude, which seemed like a hard trainer at first, but, I mean, I have cool, strong monkey now. Now, we'll come back for Zorua, but before taking on the 5th gym, we go back and get one of our fossil Pokemon, and we actually get our Johto starter that we never got from before, and we pick Totodile. After picking the only definitive right option out of the Johto starters, we also grab an Eevee that we never use, but I mean, he's there for emotional support if we need him. And with all those random gift Pokemon, and a Bonsly I forgot to mention, we then go to take on the 5th gym. And we lead with Medicham so we can Fake Out and Zen Headbutt, so the Nidoqueen doesn't get up rocks. And then we switch to Leavanny so we can get an easy kill with Leaf Blade even with the Rindo Berry on Seismitoad. Then we switch Medicham back in so we can bait out a move that isn't Ice Beam, so we can switch Golurkin to live in Ice Beam so it can one-shot Nidoking. Then we switch in our new starter Feraligatr so it can Aqua Tail after living Ice Beam and one-shot Claydol. Then this very scary Excadrill comes out, which has the potential to sweep our whole team, but luckily it uses Sword Stance instead of Earthquake because it doesn't see a kill yet, and we just one-shot it with a high roll Aqua Tail. So,
Thanks, Excadrill.
now Clay's last Pokemon, Crocodile, comes out, and we Aqua Tail while it sets up a Sandstorm, and then we switch Medicham back in, and we just kill it with Fake Out, so GG. Now we go to the Pokemon World Tournament, where we don't get levels scaled down, so we are level 42, going against level 25s, and we sweep through the whole tournament. Anyway, we move on to stupid Team Plasma stuff, and then we get kicked off their boat, and then we get a free shiny Corsola from this random researcher. And before moving any further, we backtrack to Relic Castle, where I didn't catch a Pokemon yet, and we get our static encounter Volcarona, who is very useful. We also go into this random room in the Relic Passage, and for some reason, it has Blizzard, Fire Blast, and Thunder, so that's really good for us. Then, right before fighting our rival, the legendary Cobalion comes to just greet us and then run away, which is cool, I guess. And then our rival wants to fight again, and then we have some close calls, but no deaths, so we're okay. Next up, we get the Master Ball from Professor Juniper, and then we fight two kids who are literally just evil. And I respond very accordingly.
Bro, why? Why does it want it? Why?
And after that, I have to deal with Team Plasma bombing a mountain for some reason, and then Colors wants to fight. Now, for this Colors fight, I have calced it at least 40 times. Infernape can win alone, and if it doesn't, I would have quit right then. Yeah, it seems Choice Band Infernape with Power Up Punch is a little bit strong. Yeah, and then I kind of misplay, and I'm forced to sack something, and I chose Emolga because it was the most expendable, which is sad, but, I mean, it had to happen. And then we fight Juan to finish our trilogy of choice items, and we also add both of our deaths to the counter, which is saddening. With Juan behind us and the choice scarf in hand, we can more confidently go to the 6th gym, and a few issues occur here, but nothing too major. I still don't know what happened here. I did the calc so many times before this fight, and after this happened so many times after this fight, and I still couldn't figure out why this happened. This fight was flawless. I guess I won, but those two deaths really sucked, and I didn't really want to lose them. But now I can go to Eastern Unova. And I've kind of been skipping over my encounters, but I got a Gligar here, which was really good, and I really love Gliscor, so I wanted to note him. And while seeing what I missed, I find this. I really didn't want to find a shiny Pokemon that I couldn't catch, especially a shiny I thought was really good, but it happened and I can't do anything about it now. But I do get a Kirlia here, and I thought Kirlia was going to be useless at first, but this thing and Gliscor were both so helpful overall. I also now figure out that I could have bought all the evolution stones in Driftville City, and didn't, so that's sick.
Anyway, I move on and find the TM for Scald, and then I find Cynthia outside the house that everyone was traumatized of going in. Next up, we fight Asshat again, and we kick his ass. And then we find Cobalion again, and we just run right by him. And now we meet Benga, Alder's grandson, and I'm going to show this fight unlike most of the rival fights, because this fight was actually interesting. First off, he leads Garchomp, and we just Ice Punch it once, and we one-hit it. Then we use High Horsepower once on Conkeldurr before switching out to Volcarona, and we just use Fiery Dance a few times, because it's spamming Focus Punch. Then we switch it to Garchomp and we Earthquake Emboar and get an easy kill. Lastly, we use Earthquake with Garchomp on Metagross to get rid of its berry, and then we switch out to Emboar to finish it off with High Horsepower. Next up, Cobalion's friend Virizion comes to greet us, and we also run right by it, and then we find the Elite Four member Grimsley, who gives us 2 more fossils. Now here's where I'm going to mention what I'm going to do with the fossils. I have 5 fossils right now, 1 from Rourke in the Relic Castle, 2 from Grimsley, and 2 from Chantal. I'm going to use 1 fossil from each Elite Four member and not use the one Rourke gave me. Now with the fossil situation handled, I go to get a static Lapras encounter, I evolve my Gligar, and then I get a static Rotom encounter. And then, after all of that, then I take on the 7th gym. Now, before I actually talk about the gym leader, I'm going to just talk about my Garchomp and how it swept this entire gym until the gym leader alone, and almost did the same with the gym leader. Now, the original plan for this gym fight was not for Garchomp to Dragon Rush through 4 of Drayden's Pokemon, but that's exactly what happened. It Dragon Rushed through Druddigon, Flygon, Charizard, and Haxorus before I had to switch out on Salamence. After thinking I have a basically flawless gym battle for free, I watched my Starmie die to the hands of Salamence because I missed Blizzard. Luckily I don't have any more deaths because Swampert finishes off Salamence and then Lapras finishes Altaria, and that is my 7th gym badge. While talking to Drayden about stuff I should probably pay attention to, Team Plasma decides to hit Opelucid City with the Canada Ray and just turn that bitch into Canada. And just when I'm wondering why no one wants to turn this place into Canada, I find out why before I'm forced to go fight all of Team Plasma by Drayden. With Team Plasma on the run, we're allegedly supposed to go find them, but our rival just tells us to go challenge the 8th gym instead, so I mean, I guess I'll do that. Now, the 8th gym leader starts up Rain at the start of the battle with Politoad's Drizzle ability, so on any chance that we decide to use a fire move, those are weaker, and the water type moves are also going to be much stronger on us. So this is going to be a pretty difficult battle. Anyway, we Thunderbolt through Politoad and Caracosta before switching out to Leavanny to take out the Bibarel. After that, we switch Lucario in on Tentacruel to take no damage from Sludge Wave, and then we one-shot it with Zen Headbutt. Next up is Ludicolo, and my original answer for this was Staraptor using Brave Bird and just one-shotting it. But after one Scald, I was in range to die to Recoil, so I had to think of something else and switch to Leavanny. Now, I did something really stupid here. I didn't check to see if Ludicolo was slower than Leavanny, I just assumed it was. And so I lost a Grass type to a Water type move in the Water type gym. Seeing Leavanny die that late into the run after he was one of our first Pokemon was really sad. But luckily Staraptor can just knock out Ludicolo with another U-turn, and then we can bring Galvantula in to just knock out Jellicent, and then we get our last gym badge. With our final gym badge behind us, we go to get one of our new encounters in the water that I missed right before the gym battle, and I find a Basculin that almost kills our Archeops. So I lost an encounter, and I almost lost a crucial member of my team. So that was cool. Next up, we find our last Sword of Justice legendary, being Terrakion, and we immediately run away from it, as we did with the last two, before going to take Team Plasma on. And yes, you will see I just sent a Rock type out in front of 2 Water types, because I wanted to switch to Lapras to get a free turn 1 with no damage, because Lapras has Water Absorb. Instead, they use Hail and Blizzard though, so we take a little bit of damage, but it doesn't really matter. And then Hail doesn't matter either for Lapras, because I take no damage. I'm Ice type. Also, thank God our rival sends out Electros while I'm fighting 2 Water types, because while I take out Quillfish, Carnivine, and Golem, he takes out the Walrein by himself, which, for an AI standard, is really good. Anyway, after I get really good luck with my rival, I watch him just take out the last Pokemon while I keep switching so I don't lose anything. And after I get kicked off Team Plasma's stupid boat again, I just watch them fly away on the boat. We go find the stupid boat after it flew off, and then we have some minor issues battling Team Plasma. Before these issues arise though, we lead Infernape and Mamoswine, and we Fire Lash the Escavalier, and we Icicle Crash the Gliscor, and all we have to do in return is take a Rock Tomb from Gliscor. Next up, Team Plasma brings in Diglett Cryogonal, and we switch out of Infernape to Feraligatr to take a high horsepower, and Mamoswine eats a Flash Cannon before we Icicle Crash the Dugtrio and one-hit it. Next up, Team Plasma switches Pidgeot in, and it doesn't really do much, and we pivot out of Mamoswine into Lucario to eat a Flash Cannon, and we Wave Crash Pidgeot one time with Feraligatr. After that, we pivot out of Feraligatr into Rampardos to save Feraligatr from dying, and I forget Pidgeot has Heat Wave, and it kills Lucario in cold blood. After watching probably the saddest death we've had up to this point, Gardevoir tanks a Hyper Voice and a Flash Cannon, and Thunderbolts Pidgeot to take it out, and then I miss Stone Edge with Rampardos, which was not fun. Then, because Rampardos decided he wanted to miss a Stone Edge today, Cryogonal somehow outspeeds my Infernape and one-shots Rampardos with Flash Cannon before dying to a single power-up punch. Luckily the rest of this battle goes smoothly, but after watching Lucario die, I was really upset, and then I didn't really care about Rampardos dying. I wasn't really allowed to use him, I don't think, but that's fine. And after that, I somehow guessed the Team Plasma code first try, and then I have to battle this guy again for some reason. This time though, I lead Infernape and Metagross, and I power up punch the same Cryogonal and one-shot it, and then I tank a Dazzling Gleam before Meteor Mashing Vanillish to 1 HP because it is a Sash. Next up is Mamoswine, and I just Bullet Punch and Power Up Punch it with both my Pokemon, and it dies before it can get a hit out, and then we just tank another Dazzling Gleam in return. Next up is Walrein after Mamoswine, and I finally take out the Vanillish by using Bullet Punch, and I also one-hit the Walrein by using Power Up Punch. Next up is Frostlass and Weavile, and we switch out both Pokemon into Volcarona and Magnezone to tank hits before I one-shot Weavile with Fiery Dance, and I actually miss Volt Switch on Frostlass. That's fine though, because Frostlass sees a kill on Magnezone because it's already burnt and Frostlass is Hex, so I switch out to Swampert, and then I just one-shot it with Fiery Dance. And it's boss trainer after boss trainer in the Team Plasma boat, because now we have to fight Colress for the last time in this game. We lead with Chandelure to one-hit BEM with a Shadow Ball, and then we switch out to Hydreigon to use Dark Pulse twice on Rotom to take it out too. Then when Magnezone comes out, we switch into Emboar to tank a Flash Cannon, and then we use Flame Charge twice to take it out, so we guaranteed outspeed the Klinklang, and then we can Flare Blitz one-shot it. When Porygon Z switches in, we then switch out to Metagross, and we can one-shot it with Hammer Arm, and then his Metagross comes out, which is a little bit of an issue. Now, before you make fun of me for switching in Zoroark just for it to die in one hit, you gotta hear me out on this one. The plan was to switch into Zoroark, a Pokemon who would be immune to Zen Headbutt, and have it Illusion Tentacruel, a Poison type, so it would guaranteed keep using its Psychic type move, because it was supposed to use Zen Headbutt on my Metagross, but it didn't. And because it used Meteor Mash, it just immediately killed my Zoroark, which really sucked because I just went back and got the Zorba and leveled it up. Fortunately enough for me, after that tragedy, Chandelure using Fire Blast and my Metagross using Hammer Arm on his Metagross was enough to still KO it with only one death. You know, with two boss trainers behind us, you'd think I get a few easy fights in there, but no. I have to fight the Shadow Triad, who battles in double, triple, and rotation battles respectively, and then I have to battle the legendary Kyurem, and then Getsis after all of that, so there's no shortage of hard battles. Going into these 3 Shadow Triad member battles was very scary. The stakes were really high because my best attempt up until now, I lost to these guys. Fortunately, I didn't lose to the first one in the double battle though, so I think I should be fine for this. I lead with my Emboar and my Magnezone, so I can Volt Switch out a Crobat and then switch into Galvantula so I can finish it with Sucker Punch. And I use Flame Charge with Emboar on Bisharp so I outspeed the next turn, and then I can finish it with another one so I guaranteed outspeed whatever comes out next. This plan worked perfectly. I Sucker Punched Crobat immediately so it didn't get a hit out, and then I get to Flame Charge Bisharp and it also doesn't get a turn out because it just dies to another Flame Charge. Next out is Scizor and Absol, and I really easily just Flare Blitz Scizor and one-shot it, and then I also very easily Bug Buzz Absol and one-shot it, before thundering their Feraligatr, which was their last Pokemon, into oblivion. Next up we have the much harder triple battle, where I lead Emboar, Hydreigon, and Garchomp. I lead with Garchomp using Earthquake on everything on the field on its side. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit Bisharp with its Air Balloon, and it fortunately doesn't hit Hydreigon with Levitate, but it leaves Banette in the red, so when Hydreigon uses Breaking Swipe to break the balloon, it also kills Banette and does chip damage to Weezing, which does enough for Zen Headbutt off Emboar to kill Weezing. We switch out from Hydreigon to Staraptor so we can reliably use Earthquake with Garchomp still, which would absolutely kill Bisharp and leave a Selgor low enough to die to a Flare Blitz from Emboar, meaning Liepard is now stuck in a 1v3 and we're almost guaranteed a flawless win. Now on to the hardest of the 3, the rotation battle. We lead this one with Emboar, Hydreigon, and Magnezone. We're going to need a lot of luck with this battle, but if we just lead Flame Charge, we do tons of chip damage because all 3 of his first Pokemon are weak to fire, and we get an easy speed boost, so we just lead with that. A good kill on Ninjask is really good, and a speed boost is really good, but he brings out Basculin, which we can't kill in one hit with Emboar, but it absolutely will kill Emboar with one hit. But something about the AI in this game is that they love to rotate, so we expect one, and we just use another Flame Charge, and we get really good damage on Venomoth. With Venomoth on 1 HP and with the AI loving to rotate around, I expect Basculin, so I switch into Magnezone and I use Thunderbolt expecting to get an easy kill, but it switches into Bisharp and Bisharp lives on 1 HP, but we did get really good damage off that. Knowing Magnezone can't die to one hit from anything on the field with Sturdy and will kill everything on the field with a Thunderbolt, we just use Thunderbolt again and get a free kill on Bisharp. He brings out Gengar next, and knowing the AI doesn't want to use Venomoth, I can bring out Hydreigon safely and get good damage or kill anything else. This does work as I get good damage on Basculin with Dark Pulse, and then I switch Magnezone back in expecting to kill at least something on the field with a Choice Specs Thunderbolt, but Gengar uses Hypnosis and puts it to sleep, so I have to switch back into Hydreigon, who almost dies to Basculin. Luckily, switching Hydreigon in does work because I get another Dark Pulse off and I kill Basculin, which means his only threat is now dead, so I can switch back into Emboar and guaranteed kill Venomoth safely, which leads perfectly into me using Zen Headbutt on Gengar with Emboar and leaving it on 1 HP for it to die to Life Orb damage the minute I switch Staraptor in. With this now being our best run, Hiram immediately decides he doesn't like that and tries to just immediately kill me. What a good guy he is. Luckily, N from Black and White 1 comes out of nowhere on Zekrom and saves me, and then immediately Zekrom gets absorbed by Kyurem, and now I have to fight an even stronger Kyurem, and N is now down a Pokemon, which is his only Pokemon. So in total, N has left me in a 1v1 against Kyurem Black, which is not good for me. And after sending Garchomp out to hopefully one-shot Kyurem with Dragon Rush and a Choice Band, I find out right before I use Dragon Rush that I don't outspeed. So I had to switch to Infernape and get 2 lucky Cross Chomps after living a Freeze Shock. And now we have to fight the final boss of Team Plasma, Getsus. And he's a little strong. We have to lead Garchomp now because we led Garchomp for Black Kyurem, and we crunched Cofagrigus twice before Genesect wants to come out and Ice Beam me. Luckily, in between the Black Kyurem fight and the Getsus fight, we get healed for some reason, so Infernape can switch in reliably, live an Ice Beam, and then one-shot Genesect with Fire Lash. Okay, that's actually wrong. I have to use Mach Punch after because it is a Focus Sash, but that's besides the point. Next up is Electros, and I switch into Gardevoir so I can spam Draining Kiss and out-heal the Wild Charge damage Gardevoir's taking. After Gardevoir lives a Flash Cannon off Hydreigon, I can just use Draining Kiss to one-hit it, and then we're back to full health. Last up is Gyarados, and we just switch to Rotom while it sets up a Dragon Dance, and we one-shot it with Thunderbolt, and we win. This guy is really strong for an evil team leader, I'm gonna be honest. After saving Unova from becoming Canada 2.0, Looker comes up to us and tells us about stuff to do in the post-game, and I completely ignore it because I'm not doing the post-game in this video. The last place we have to go is the Pokemon League, which is just past Victory Road, and we find N waiting for us at the start of Victory Road. I'm pretty sure he's just telling us about the story of Black and White 1. I didn't really pay attention, but he also gives us an item for the post-game, and now I'm kind of tempted to do the post-game. And after going through the coolest Victory Road entrance in Pokemon history, now we have to fight a bunch of really strong trainers again. Most notably is veteran Abraham, who has a very strong team with some very scary Pokemon. I lead with Gardevoir so I can get a free kill on Dragonite and stay on full health by just spamming Draining Kiss. Out comes Slacking, where I switch into Metagross to tank a Giga Impact and I use 2 Hammer Arms to kill it while it tries to put me to sleep with Yawn. After Infernape comes out, I switch into Staraptor and drop the attack so Flare Blitz barely does half, and then I can use Brave Bird to kill it without dying to recoil damage. After Infernape's down, Milotic comes out and I U-turn out into Magnezone, who tanks an Ice Beam and a Scald and one-shots Milotic with Thunder. With Magnezone still in the field, Donphan wants to come out and kill it with Earthquake, so I switch into Hydreigon, who is Levitate, and then I kill it with a few Hydro Pumps. Plus 1 Dark Pulse. Last up is Blastoise, and I made my Rotom Rotom specifically for this fight because after a Shell Smash, Leaf Storm guaranteed OHKOs the Blastoise. Next up are Ace Trainer, Webster, and Shanta, and they both have 4 Pokemon each, making this a 6v8. I lead with Braviary and Tentacruel, and then I one-shot both Heatmor and Gengar respectively with Hydro Pump and Zen Headbutt. Next up are Magmortar and Tauros, and I switch both my Pokemon out to Garchomp and Crobat. Crobat starts using Brave Bird to leave Tauros in low health, so Garchomp can use Earthquake and kill both Magmortar and Tauros. The next 2 out are Electivire and Granbull, so we switch Garchomp out into Gardevoir, and we use Poison Fang with Crobat on Granbull before dying to Electivire. We bring Metagross in so it can use Meteor Mash on Granbull to one-hit it, but before that, Gardevoir also uses Draining Kiss to one-shot Electivire and heal all the damage it took. The last two out are Druddigan and Durant, and we switch Gardevoir into Tentacruel, and we use Hammer Arm with Metagross on Durant. I tried using Ice Beam on Druddigan for an easy KO, but forgot it had Sucker Punch, so we lost Tentacruel. After Tentacruel dies, we can Hammer Arm Durant a second time to get a KO on that, and we bring out Gardevoir to hopefully one-shot Druddigan with Draining Kiss. Unfortunately, I'm an idiot and I used Draining Kiss without doing any calcs, and it lived on 1 HP and killed Metagross, while Metagross had a priority move that I didn't use. I bring Garchomp in, and I just use Extreme Speed to kill this thing before I can lose any other really important Pokemon. One of our last challenges before the Pokemon League is the Weather Trainers. These are 4 trainers that specialize in each of the different types of weather, and their whole team surrounds it. We lead with Infernape to use Power Up Punch twice on Abomasnow to KO it and get 2+ attacks, and after that we use Close Combat on Cloyster to also one-shot it. Just for good measure as well, Infernape uses U-Turn on Reuniqueless to almost one-shot it, and we bring out Hydreigon to resist a Psychic completely. We also use U-Turn with Hydreigon on Reuniqueless to not only KO it, but we switch Volcarona in, and Volcarona sweeps the rest of this Ice team. We also got a really lucky burn here on Weavile to also kill it because it had Focus Sash to live. Right here is also where I figure out I could have switched teams in between every fight, when I thought I had to do 2 in a row, and then I could switch my team and then do the other 2 in a row. But I just didn't even opt to switch my team because my team was almost perfect for these 2 fights. Leading Infernape again, I taught it Earthquake so it could get good damage into Torkoal, and I already realized I messed up because it's holding a red card and I got switched out to Machamp. I also thought Machamp could do at least half with high horsepower to Torkoal, but it didn't. Torkoal lived on 1 HP and then just killed my Machamp. We bring Infernape back out to use Power Up Punch to not only kill Torkoal, but give us another attack boost, so an Earthquake onto our Manatane that's +1 will one-shot it. Next up is Venusaur, and we switch out into Hydreigon, and we use Fire Blast and get a really lucky burn while it just sets up using Growth. After Venusaur comes out Ninetales, and to make sure Garchomp doesn't die to a Moonblast turn 1 when it switches, we switch Volcarona in first so it can bait out a Power Gem so Garchomp can come in and tank the Power Gem and kill it with Earthquake in 1 hit. After doing our switch tactics, Victory Bell comes in and we switch back into Volcarona to use Fiery Dance, and the sun that they set up is boosting Fiery Dance to make sure we get an Oko here. Last up for the Sun team is his own Volcarona, and he's trying to use Fiery Dance to get really good damage, but we switch into Chandelure so we absorb it with Flash Fire, and while Volcarona just sets up, we kill it with a Fire Blast and a Shadow Ball. Now that we know we can switch teams in between every fight instead of every other fight, we make a perfect team to counter the Rain team. We lead with our Magnezone, and we use an 100% accurate Thunder due to the rain that Pelipper sets up with Drizzle, and we one-shot it. Next up is Seismitoad, and we switch out into Jellicent with an Air Balloon so we can avoid any ground-type moves, and we use Giga Drain on it twice. Next up is Electrode, who wants to one-shot our Jellicent with Thunder, so we switch into Nidoqueen, who's immune to Thunder, and we use Poison Jab on it twice to kill it. We actually almost die here to Life Orb and Aftermath damage combined though. Her 4th Pokemon is Politoed, and we just switch into Galvantula and use our 100% accurate Thunder to one-shot it. After that comes out Kingdra, and we switch Lapras to tank all the hits and kill it with 2 Dragon Pulses. Last up is, for some reason, Scizor on the Rain team, and we switch Hydreigon in to hopefully kill it with 1 Fire Blast, but for some reason it uses a U-turn on Lapras, so we have to switch out to Magnezone and just kill it with 2 Thunders. Last of the 4 weather teams is the Sand team, where he leads with Hippowdon to set up Sandstream immediately. We lead with Jellicent so we can get an easy kill on Hippowdon with 2 Giga Drains. Next up is Nidoking, and we switch out to Crocodile because Nidoking's trying to use Thunderbolt on Jellicent, so Crocodile is completely immune to it, and we kill it with 1 Earthquake. I meant high horsepower. Oopsie. Next up is Excadrill, and he sets up 2 Swords Dances while we switch Staraptor in and just one-shot it with Close Combat. Next up is Tyranitar, and he uses Crunch on Nidoqueen twice, and we live barely on 3 HP before taking it out with 2 high horsepowers. Here comes Garchomp, the biggest threat on the Sand team, but with Gliscor's monstrously high defense, we can tank 3 hits and kill it with 2 Ice Fangs. Last and definitely least is Clefable, and we switch in Magnezone and hit it with a Mirror Shot and a Volt Switch, and we Volt Switch out to Staraptor to finish it off. With the 4 Weather Trainers done, I thought I had to battle Lance now, but you don't battle him if you're not in Challenge Mode, so now I kinda wish I did Challenge Mode. But that means the only fight standing between us and the Pokemon League is a rival fight. Now, I know I kind of glossed over my rival for most of the playthrough, and that's because most of the battles were almost exactly the same, but I'll go over this one just so I don't completely skip over him. We lead with Archeops so we can get Swallow to 1 HP, so he wastes his potion, and then we can kill Swallow after living another Boom Burst. Next out is Samurott, and we switch into Galvantula to tank a close combat, and when Samurott's drop defense 1, we can just one-shot it with Thunder. After Samurott comes out Flygon, and we switch into Staraptor, thinking we could tank a Dragon Pulse easy and one-shot it with Brave Bird, but Dragon Pulse does a lot more than we expected, so we just sack Staraptor and one-shot it with Brave Bird. Also, I completely forget to change the death counter, so just ignore that, imagine it's 21. After that tragedy, we have to bring Garchomp out on Electros, and we use Dragon Rush twice, and we flinch it on the first one so we don't take any damage. Next up is Lilligant, and we use Flare Blitz while it sets up 2 Quiver Dances, leaving it on 1 HP, and then we finish it off with Mach Punch. Last up is Camerupt, and we switch into Feraligatr to tank an Earthquake, and we finish it in 1 hit with Wave Crash. As we walk into the Pokemon League, I sit here and think for hours on what team of 6 I should use to beat the league. As a last-ditch effort to find something to put on our team for the Pokemon League, we find a Lairon and we just Master Ball it, thinking I wouldn't use it, and that turns out wrong. While I nicknamed this thing Waste, thinking it was a wasted encounter, while I'm looking at the Elite Four teams, I find a Fairy type that I don't have a counter for, and Aggron is a Steel type. Yes, I know I have a Magnezone, but using Waste is way funnier. With this team of 5 built, I thought I had a free open slot for literally anything I wanted to bring to the Pokemon League, but it seems Aggron is the perfect Pokemon to use as our 6th. Going into the Pokemon League, we start off by going in to fight Grimsley first. This is because we think Grimsley is the easiest of the 4. Grimsley leads with Liepard, who wants to set up Thunder Wave with its ability Prankster, so we lead Infernape with a berry that will get rid of the paralysis so we can set up 2 power-up punches. Next out comes Honchkrow, and with a +2 Flare Blitz on Infernape, it can easily one-shot the Honchkrow. After that comes out Crocodile, who wants to kill Infernape with an Earthquake, so we switch into Gliscor to be completely immune to it so we can reverse kill it with 2 Earthquakes, but he switches out to Scrafty instead, and we just kill that with 2 Earthquakes instead. Next out is Houndoom, who's going to live on 1 HP with its Focus Sash from Earthquake, so we switch into Infernape to finish it with Power Up Punch. But Grimsley just brings Crocodile back in, and we switch back into Gliscor again. And again, because Grimsley's Crocodile can't hit Gliscor at all, he switches out again into a Bisharp this time that has Air Balloon, so it's completely avoiding the Earthquake coming into it. And to that, my plan was to switch Garchomp in to use Crunch and then finish it with Earthquake after breaking its balloon. But for some reason, I used Dragon Rush instead of Earthquake, so it doesn't kill, and I just had to switch to Infernape to finish it with Power Punch. And since Grimsley's last Pokemon is Crocodile, we have to switch out to Gliscor for the last time this fight, just to find out I was wrong and it has Stone Edge, and I thought it only had Earthquake. We still just killed it with 2 Earthquakes, but now I'm questioning why the AI was switching it out every time. With our first Elite Four battle done, we decide to go fight Marshall for our second fight. We lead this fight off by using Gardevoir so we can hopefully get 1 or 2 easy kills with Psychic or Draining Kiss, but Gardevoir says fuck that and just one-shots 4 of Marshall's Pokemon. It also stays at full health. Next out comes Lucario, and we switch into Infernape to tank an extreme speed before one-shotting it with Flare Blitz. Last up on Marshall's team is Medicham, and to save Infernape, we switch into Garchomp to tank a Zen Headbutt so we can one-shot it with Earthquake. With the 2 easier of the 4 Elite Four members done, now we switch into the 2 of the harder Elite Four members. Starting the 2 harder Elite Four members with Chantal, we lead with Rotom Wash to get an easy kill on Jellicent with Thunder right off the start. Next comes out Golurk, and we can one-shot him with a Hydro Pump, and then after that comes out Chandelure, who we can also one-shot with a Hydro Pump. When Drifloon comes out, with Rotom in the red, we switch out to Garchomp to one-shot Drifloon with a Crunch.
When Sableye comes in, I thought I had to switch out to Gardevoir to one-shot it with a Draining Kiss, but instead I just spammed Earthquake and we beat it. With Chantal's last Pokemon, Cofagrigus, coming out and Garchomp not being at full health, we switch into Infernape to Flare Blitz it back-to-back to kill it. And with that, makes 3 of the Elite Four members down, meaning the last one we have left is Caitlyn. Caitlyn leads with Behem, and we lead with Infernape to bait out a Psystrike while we U-turn out into Gardevoir, so when she uses her potion to heal Behem, we can Draining Kiss Gardevoir back to full health and kill Behem. Next out comes Metagross, and we switch back into Infernape to tank a Meteor Mash before one-shotting it with Flare Blitz. Reuniclus comes in to hopefully kill our Infernape with a Psychic, but instead it uses Thunderbolt as we switch into Gliscor, so we get a free switch, and we U-turn out into Garchomp, who then tanks a Psychic before finishing Reuniclus with a Crunch. Next out comes Gothitelle, and this is somehow the easiest kill we have, as Garchomp's Dragon Rush just one-shots it as a neutral hit. After that comes out Slowbro, and we switch into Rotom Wash to easily one-shot it with a Thunder. Last up on Caitlyn's team is Musharna, and remember that Fairy type I was talking about before the Elite Four? Yes, Musharna gets the Fairy type in this game as well, and bringing Aggron was absolutely not necessary, but it was pretty funny. With the Elite Four done, the last thing that stands between us and becoming the champion is the current champion, Iris. Looking at Iris' team of 6, this seems pretty strong. I'm gonna let the gameplay speak for how this fight went. Yeah, sorry for that long streak, but that was just baffling to me that Gardevoir just swept through 4 of her Pokemon, almost 5. Also, yes, I do kinda let Gardevoir die here, just because I was playing Reckless, and honestly, I didn't really care if I lost Gardevoir, it's the final fight. I just brought Infernape out to finish off Archeops with a close combat, and then I close combat for Alligator, again hoping for a crit, playing Reckless still, and I just lost Infernape as well. Could I have done this battle flawlessly and avoided 2 more deaths? Absolutely. Did I really care because it was the final battle? No. Seeing probably the most important Pokemon for the entire Pokemon League die, and then watching probably the most important Pokemon in the entire run die right after was sad. Both of these were on my own accord though, and I knew I was going to win anyway. I still had 4 Pokemon. Big shout out to Drayano and Aphex Cubed for making this amazing ROM hack. Pokemon Black and White 2 were already my favorite Pokemon games, and now I think this is my favorite ROM hack of any game, and it absolutely was the hardest Pokemon game I've ever played up to this point. I'll let the credits run now.